Good morning and welcome to College Football Mornings, brought to you by CampusToCanton.com. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means, everybody. That means it's time for some hot waiver wire pickups, and as always, to bring those to you, I am Austin.
And this is Colin.
We're going to hop right into this here, Colin. We're going to structure this show a little bit differently through the end of the season now. We are done talking about, if you have unlimited waiver pickups, if you have limited, here are your watch list guys. We are going to start breaking this up as if you are a playoff contender or if you are a rebuilder. We don't care how many pickups you have at this point in the year. Got to use them or you lose them. So we're going to give you some names for each category so you can go through and make your own adventure, if you will.
I love choose your own adventure books. Those are always my favorite.
That doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah. The reading comprehension level kind of lines up with what you expect.
I'm picturing you still reading those. Yes.
Yeah, no, I still do. I love those.
Yeah. Not shocking at all. All right. So we're going to start with playoff contenders first because you guys are the best, the GOATs. You're going to make the playoffs here. Some guys that are still floating around out there in some spots that we think can still help you out. And let's start with Antoine Green, wide receiver at UNC. Not a lot of people talking about Green. He's probably even, the second most rostered Green wide receiver at UNC across C2C leagues, but Antoine Green has been really, really good in his own right when he hasn't been injured this season. He's basically only played 4 games for the Tar Heels, but in those 4 games, in a full PPR league, he has 40, 21.2, 15.9, and 30 total points. He gets Wake and Georgia Tech in weeks 11 and 12, so that definitely doesn't hurt. He's getting a ton of targets in that offense. It's a high-powered passing attack, and that's how they prefer to move the ball. He's attached to Drake May. A lot of things going for Antoine Green. 44% rostered. So, he's not available everywhere, but he's available in a couple of my leagues. I'm making moves for him where I have pickups. I'm not sure what the future is beyond this season for him, but I think you could do a lot worse going down the stretch this season.
Yeah, he really wrecked me last week, honestly, in one of my leagues with that huge game he had there. So if he is available in your leagues, go pick him up so he can't hurt you either.
The bad man can't hurt you anymore.
Exactly. The bad man can't hurt you if he's on your team. Another guy who had a monster week last week, wide receiver Dorian Singer from Arizona. He had a huge week last week and was in contention for player of the week for Campus to Canton. He had 3 touchdowns, 147 yards, I believe. He's only 16% owned out there. So I would definitely recommend picking up him if he is available and you need another wide receiver for your playoff run, because that Arizona passing attack is one of the best in the country. Very high-powered offense here. Through the last 5 weeks, Dorian Singer has played a pretty major role in that offense. 13, 7, 7, 10, and 11 targets through those last 5 games. 7, 6, 3, 9, and 8 receptions there. They get USC this week too. Not an overly daunting opponent there.
USC.
Oh, they just played USC. That's right.
Don't go off script, Colin. Stick to the script here. Come on.
I apologize there. I would pick up Dorian Singer this week.
And it's not like that volume is pretty sustainable. They pass the ball over 40 times a game.
Yeah.
So not a bad shout there, even though he is for all intents and purposes, the 3rd wide receiver on the depth chart. Last Utah. One here for playoff contenders.
That's who they get.
Who do they play?
Utah.
Okay. And they'll still throw the ball 45 times, so it doesn't matter. Moose Muhammad is the other one here, guys. And I think we talked about him once on here before, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I do a lot of shows. But the wide receiver at Texas A&M there has been really, really good since he was inserted into the starting lineup. 8% rostered on Fantrax. His last 4 games, targets 11, 6, 8, and 9. He seems like he has pretty good chemistry there with Connor Wegman. Had a big week in his first start this past weekend, and it really looks like him and Evan Stewart are going to consolidate most of that target share between the two of them. Evan Stewart, I'd be shocked if he's not rostered in any of your leagues. But yeah, Moose Muhammad definitely floating around in a bunch of them. So, he could be just as productive, if not more so, than Stewart down the stretch here. And his dad, doesn't hurt. NFL genes. His dad, Musa Muhammad, played for that Carolina Panthers Super Bowl team in 2002. They played the Patriots, I believe, early 2000s. Him and Steve Smith, He Hate Me, the whole Jake Delhomme, the whole gang. So lots of things going for him. And there could be an NFL upside here. He's I believe his third or fourth year in college. So, that's not great, but I think he gets drafted at some point. So a lot to like here with Moose Muhammad.
Yeah, and that Texas A&M offense this past week played with more tempo than we've seen, and I think that's going to be key moving forward because before that they really hadn't been running a lot of plays. If they keep running up tempo here, I think he could be really nice down the stretch.
Do you think Jimbo's mad that they ran a tempo offense? He's like, slow down.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Bench him all.
He might. That's going to do it though for the guys to add for your contenders. If you're a rebuilder here, a couple players to add with an eye towards next year. First one, QB Walker Howard from Kansas State. Now, he's only 5% owned here. He is probably the QB of the future at Kansas State. He will have one more year left there. Adrian Martinez will be out of eligibility. And he looked really good filling in for Adrian Martinez last week. 296 yards passing and 4 touchdowns through the air. 21 carries, 37 yards on the ground. And he had a really nice fantasy day there. And we don't know necessarily what the status of Adrian Martinez is, so he could provide a little bit of value here this week. But either way, looking like he could be a nice value next year.
And it's actually Will Howard. So apologies to everybody out there. I know. I told you.
Walker Howard, QB of LSU, 5-star freshman. Don't confuse the two.
Yeah, and so I believe Howard actually has like 3 years of eligibility left.
He was
class of 2020. Like I can remember scouting this kid when he came out. COVID year, redshirt year. This is really year 1. So I think he has 3 years left. So,
interesting. I'm pretty sure he's listed as a junior.
He is, but he's got the years if he wants it.
Interesting.
And he looked really good. Yeah,
he did.
I was gonna say he'll probably use all of it, but he could be an NFL guy. I don't know. He did look pretty darn awesome in this one. Yeah. Another guy that looked pretty good this week, MJ Morris, the quarterback at NC State, filling in for an injured Devin Leary there, and he impressed. 20 for 29, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3% rostered on Fantrax. He's a little riskier than Howard because Devin Leary can come back next year, whereas Adrian Martinez cannot. So he might be the starter next year. He might not. We really don't know what Devin Leary is going to do there. But if he is, I think they've got no real star guys there around him, but some solid pass catching weapons. They've got some depth in the backfield. The ACC is not particularly strong. I think there's a lot of things to like here for MJ Morris. And I think, stashing a starting quarterback never hurts either. So if you've got some pickups left, go stash Morris and see what happens this offseason. And at worst, as Colin likes to do, it's a really easy guy to cut later.
Yep. The patented double tap on the quarterbacks there. But next guy we have on the list here is a running back, Rodney Hammond from Pittsburgh. A little bit higher ownership percentage, 33%, but I have a feeling that a lot of that's due to some inactivity because he started the year looking like he was going to be the RB1 for Pitt. Big game week 1, and then he gets hurt. Really has not been much of a factor since. It's been the Izzy Abanikanda show. But Izzy Abanikanda might parlay that success into some NFL draft capital here. So if Izzy leaves, this offense is going to be pretty run heavy unless there's a new offensive coordinator or a new QB. Neither of these are necessarily fixed. We'll see how that plays out here. Pitt's not the type to move on though, so I have a feeling that they will be back, but still likely to be run heavy there next year. And if Izzy's gone, it'll be the Hammond show.
Next up here, Keon Coleman, Michigan State. So first off, I just want to say before we go through this entire list, there are probably a ton of freshmen floating around out there. I'd really just go through the Campus to Canton rankings and cross-reference your free agency list. I can't be any more helpful on some of these than that. I just don't know what's going to be available in your league. Guys like Dallin Hayden at Ohio State might have been forgotten. Somebody like that could be floating around. So mix and match, search through there. Keon Coleman is a guy that I actually was surprised to see how low his rostership percentage is, 21%. And he's been the leading wide receiver for Michigan State this year. Now, granted, Jaden Reed a little banged up, in and out of the lineup. It's been a disappointing year, but Keon Coleman has 36 catches this season, 548 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And a basketball player, like he's a big-bodied kind of guy out there, but he's pretty athletic. So I think we'll see what happens with their quarterback situation. What happens with Michigan State as a whole? There's some lawsuits coming. I think some criminal charges for guys there. So we'll see. Maybe he's not even on Michigan State next year. Who knows? But Coleman should be 50, 60, 70% roster. There's no reason for him to be that low on Fantrax.
Yeah, absolutely. Just again, size, athleticism, like you said, is a good indicator for potential NFL success there. The last guy we have here on the list, wide receiver Elijah Badger from Arizona State, a guy that I've been talking about for like 2 years now. First year in school, was not academically eligible. Last year was more or less his first year in school. Didn't really do anything. Didn't really do much over the first couple games this year, but the last 3, he's been a huge part of this offense. He's got over 20 fantasy points in the last 3 games. There's a lot of uncertainty around his situation around Arizona State. What's going to happen with that QB situation? What's going to happen with the coaching staff? He may not even necessarily stay in school because he's technically 3 years out of school. He could leave. That would surprise me. I think he'll be back. And this is a guy who is extremely athletic. This is a guy in the mold of a Brandon Ayuk, which, some people may say scouting the helmets from Arizona State, but I do think that comparison is pretty apt here. And if some things break the right way for him, he could be incredibly valuable for you next year.
Yeah, I was shocked he's at 50%, but I guess it makes sense. We were saying you kind of fade this offense this offseason. He's not been CFF relevant. Just all these things kind of mixed together. I have heard him, but yeah, I think he's a great play moving forward here. So, like I said, go check to see if there's any freshmen hanging around in the waiver wire, poke around, see what you got going on there. But that's going to do it here for us on Waiver Wire Tuesday. We'll be back. Well, we won't be back. Somebody from Campus Canada will be back every other day this week to give you guys your usual schedule of information. Until next time, guys, I am Austin.
And this is Colin.
And have a good one.